And I think it's important for the younger generation to not view it as, hey, this is just a job. Then being able to find a career that they can grow in, they can get better each day at, is important. And I think you get to do that in trades more so maybe than just sitting behind a desk in a cubicle where you don't get to talk to a lot of people or you're just dealing with the computer screen.
Hey there, and welcome to Under the Roof, the official podcast of Baker Roofing Company. I'm Todd Kavanaugh.
And I'm Matt Elban, and we're here to connect the dots between field and office, leadership and crew, values and action.
In each episode, we dive into the stories, lessons, and updates that matter to our team.
From safety and career growth to company milestones and good old-fashioned storytelling, it's all about living out what makes Baker, Baker. Let's get into it. Hey there, and welcome back to Under the Roof, the podcast where we explore what makes Baker Roofing Company and the industry as a whole tick. I'm Matt Elban. Every episode, we sit down with the people that are doing the work, whether it's the crews, the leaders, the partners, even our customers, for honest conversations about this industry.
And I'm Todd Kavanaugh, and we look at where it's been, where it's going, and the stories you don't typically hear from a roofing company. Today, we're going to be talking with Anthony Carrier, our general manager over our Bristol and Asheville markets.
Anthony's building something special in these markets, not just a strong operation, obviously we're doing that, but a real presence in the community, beginning in his first market, Bristol, especially when it comes to introducing the next generation to the trades.
And that's where we want to spend a lot of time today, how a roofing company shows up in a community. We talked a little bit about that last time with Daryl Bailey. But why that matters and what it looks like when you actually take it seriously as a company. We'll also get into Anthony's own path into roofing, because if you've been around this industry long enough, you know nobody's typical first answer to what do you want to do when you grow up is, I want to be a commercial roofer. Anthony, welcome, and we're glad to have you with us.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. I feel like I'm on a celebrity show here with you two.
Far from it, but thank you, Anthony.
For real. Anthony, first question, we always like to start out the same way. If you've listened to the podcast at all, you anticipated this question. What is the last book you read and what stuck with you from it?
I didn't know this was going to be the first question. I almost went to the store to buy a book just so that I could say, just get this awesome book. This is the book that I'm reading, and here's what I took away. But then I figured honesty's best policy, right? One of our fundamentals. And so I was going to say, I don't read a lot. If I physically read a book, it's been the Bible. And that's just not near as much as I need to be honest with you. That's my physical reading. So I'm going to go a little different and go with audiobooks because I'm addicted to those. So audiobooks, I'm going to give you a couple authors that I really enjoy and listen to a lot of their books. As Charles Martin and Mark Goodwin are two authors that are probably my favorite ones. And as far as a book goes that I've listened to recently and I really enjoy is called What If It's True by Charles Martin. And probably one of my favorites.
What's the genre of those kind of books?
So they're a little all over the place. You might laugh at me. Charles Martin is a very Christian author type guy. Also has some romance, kind of the good guy wins, the good guy gets the girl kind of book. And that's kind of been the story of my life. So I read into it and I'm like, hey, I can relate. So a little romance stuff in there too that I enjoy listening to.
Well, I appreciate your first answer of the Bible. I think there's a lot of great things, obviously, in the Bible that we can use, whether it's our personal lives or our business lives. So I certainly appreciate you answering that. That's awesome.
Thank you, Anthony. And appreciate the honesty, too. Honestly, I think when I consider when I listen to a book that I've read it, and maybe that's, and I don't think I'm being dishonest necessarily. Like, I listen to a lot of books, have a lot of windshield time. Probably a lot of us do that. So it's a great way to do it. So to use your time. So
maybe I need to change my question to what's the last book you've read or listened to?
Right.
But a book, not a song.
Yes. Well, Anthony, let's go back a bit and tell us the story about how you found your way into roofing. What was your path? Because everybody's got a path.
I was 4 years old and just wanted to be a roofer here. No, I'm joking.
I was like, what?
That's the best answer ever.
Yeah. I was working in the engineering field. I went to school at Virginia Tech and worked for an engineering firm there and continued to work with them. Part of my duties was inspections and inspecting roofs. I didn't as much find my way to Baker as I think that God used some special people and brought Baker to me. It's the only thing that would have made me leave is I'm a very loyal person, obviously, because I've been here a long time. So it kind of was we're going to uproot you and bring you into Baker, whether you like it or not. And I was very appreciative of that. So that was kind of the start, was just on the roof at about 10 o'clock at night doing an infrared roof scan. The next day ended up having some conversations with different people at Baker, ended up signing on.
So you mentioned something a minute ago. You said when you were 4, you just woke up and said, I want to be a roofer. I'm actually curious. What did you want to be when you were 4, or when you were little? What was it that you wanted to do?
So sports has been ingrained into me since apparently I was born, and it's something that's never left. I guess the story goes, I don't remember it obviously, but when I was born, and I'm the oldest of my family, my dad went out and bought a bat and ball. It's like, I got a ball player now, somebody to play with. So that's kind of stuck with me. So growing up, all I ever knew that I wanted to be was a ball player. And got to do that for a really long time and enjoyed that. And then after that, there was the idea, I went to military school for a short time, and the idea there was going to be, I was going to be a fighter pilot. So that didn't work out due to an injury. So here I am now at Baker Roofing.
Yeah, I think a lot of us may have thought sports would have been the future. What it was for me for a long time. But as one of 3 boys in my family, my dad got 3 buddies to throw a ball with or kick a ball with or whatever. But yeah, for sure.
I won a lot of World Series championships in my front yard. Just there wasn't a lot of people there to school.
Yeah, they were in my backyard, but not my front. But yeah, my backyard for sure. I also struck out quite a few times in the backyard. So
Yeah, the bases loaded, whatever inning that you're hitting in with the ball bat, swinging for the World Series.
I still do that with my boys in my backyard, and they're 19 and 17. I still feel like I could throw a nasty curveball with the wiffle ball.
Especially with the wiffle ball. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
I can strike them out pretty good with that.
Yeah, and you touched on like the top 3, right? That 4-year-olds want to be, or close to it. Fighter pilot, sports, professional, or astronaut. That was the only other one.
Yeah. Get out of this world, right?
A lot of people in this industry describe it as something they fell into, kind of like you're grafted into after that infrared scan, than something they actually chose. Looking back, what is it about the work, about Baker, I guess, in particular? Is it the work? Is it the people? What made you stay?
Sure. It's really definitely not so much the work, but the people. I've just been blessed with so many mentors over my career and how they touched my lives. And hopefully there'll at some point be some people that say that I helped touch their lives. Just the crews that I've got to work with comes to mind, and just building that relationship. And earlier in my career, spent a ton of time on the roofs, getting to know the guys actually doing the roof work every single day, and how hard that is. It brings a different level of respect from me for what they do every single day. Just those relationships over time, continuing to grow that. More than anything, feeling like this is what I'm supposed to do. I can honestly say that I feel like I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be with these people. There's been a lot of change in my career and where I worked and where my office was, or not having an office, or all those kind of things. I honestly feel that this was the plan for me, was to be here.
So you bring up change in your career and kind of going from this office to that office or whatever, right? You're running 2 markets now, if I'm not mistaken, Bristol. And I'm curious, I got to ask, is it Bristol, Tennessee, or is it Bristol, Virginia? What is it?
It's Bristol, Virginia. So we're on the Virginia side. We can, out my office window here, I can see into Tennessee almost just a couple miles out.
There is a street in Bristol, Virginia, and in Bristol, Tennessee, that the dividing line of the state is the yellow line, and it's called State Street, and it goes right down the main of the town of Bristol. And there is a Geico commercial where there's the little placards in the road where they reflect one side stamped Virginia, one side stamped Tennessee. I had to ask the question, but you're running 2 offices, Bristol and Asheville, and those are different places. They're different communities, probably different rhythms, definitely different people. What have you learned about what it takes to lead in places like those?
It takes learning the people. It takes conversations and how different people are in just different areas, including not only internally, but externally, the customers and how they buy and what they're looking for. It's one of the probably biggest challenges, not so much internally, but externally that I had to learn and moving from Roanoke when Bristol was opened and I was able to come down here and start trying to sell work here was so different. And then approaching Asheville, I don't claim to have the right recipe or my finger on it, but I know involved in that is learning the customers and learning the people is what it takes to figure out how to get it done. And just getting the right people in the right place in those positions is what can help it grow. I'm certainly in all the steps that I've made, just been fortunate to be able to have the right people to help achieve some pretty big things in the company.
It's awesome.
I love, Anthony, there is a theme being established here. When we asked you about why you stayed, it's people. And how you are successful and build a market, it's baker people and customer people. It's all people, right? We're in a people business. And so I really appreciate that theme. So when you think about people, and this specifically your team, what are some of the things that you're proudest of in what's being done in these markets? And I don't mean just like the actual roofs, because there's some beautiful roofs that are being installed in both those markets. But what are some of the things that you're proud of that your people are doing there in those markets?
Sure. So I think going back to when I was in Roanoke and how things played out there was the hard work and dedication of those teams. I can remember one year, I think it was $13 or $14 million worth of work. I think there was 5 people that were in the office, office staff, just a crazy low number and a lot of work. And it came from the dedication of the people doing the work, both in the office, but especially outside the office and getting that work done. So I'm pretty proud of that. Moving down to Bristol and what we've had going on there, I had such a good team. And it's taken a lot of growth, a lot of learning on my part, a lot of mistakes. I tell the teams that I deal with all the time, like, if you want to come talk to me about something, I've probably messed it up worse than you already. Let's just be honest and talk about it and work it out, because I can probably tell you a story. I'm a storyteller, love telling stories, and I can tell you a story about how I messed it up worse probably. Getting the opportunity to mess things up has been good for my growth, those kind of things. But that's been able to develop and see good talent and who they are. The team in Bristol, just a phenomenal group that we've been able to develop over time through sales. When I came down here, it was only me working with onboarding, just a wonderful sales team here. And that was able to grow the company, because I'm not the best in the room when it comes to sales. I like being in front of a customer, but getting to the point of being in front of a customer is hard for me. And having someone that was really good at it helped me to be able to grow the area. So it has more to do with being able to have those people come beside me and help me get there. My wife works with me now, and she's been able to help me grow the business so that I have that person I can always count on and call. She kind of runs things a lot in Bristol, and that's helped me be able to transition to Asheville and get to spend more time there. Overall, I would say just the moments that I'm most proud of is seeing all those pieces come together and those people succeed, even in times of you may not think of it as a success. When we have been able to prove the always good work has meant a lot to me to say, okay, we realized we made a problem here. That was our fault. We have to go fix it. Let's go fix it. Let's go make it right. The team come together. We're honest. We got it done.
It sounds like it does to me. I think one of the things that's neat, each one of us is probably really good at 1 or 2 or 3 things that we do in our job. We're okay at the other things, but we're not really good at them. But we surround ourselves with people, and I think that's an underlying theme at Baker Roofing and probably a lot of businesses. But if you're listening to this and you hear that, find the thing you're really good at, hone in on that, and then surround yourself on your team with people that are really good at the other things that are needed. That sounds like what you're saying. I know that I've got a great team that I work with on a regular basis. I know Todd does as well. But if I was in charge of marketing at Baker, things would be vastly different than they are. They would not be done nearly as well as they are. But we have people in the different roles here that do a really good job in the role that they're in and have great teams that work with them. But this isn't an individual business. It is about the people, like Todd said.
And I'll say this too, Anthony, I really appreciate your vulnerability in leadership. I think as leaders, to learn from that, we make it okay for our team to fail. Obviously, there are some guardrails on that, but we make it safe for them to make a mistake and learn. That's the important part of the failure, is learning how to grow and get better from that. But I appreciate that. That probably pays dividends for you, especially when you surround yourself with the right people. I like that theme.
Anthony, one of the things that we wanted to spend some real time on today is some of the work that your team's doing with local high schools. So maybe you could just tell us a little bit about that, maybe how it started, what does it really look like, and what are the things that you're doing or your group is doing on the ground with those groups?
Sure. It's something we're real excited about, and it's primarily in Bristol where we've been doing that. We hope to grow it into other areas, but I don't know if it's been probably 3 or 4 years ago. I was in Raleigh and meeting with Mark, and when I was meeting with him, or anytime I get the opportunity to sit in front of him, I try not to talk and just listen, because you've got so much that he can pour out into you. Sometimes I may even make that offer for him, because I just want to wait till he's going to say something. We'll listen to what he's going to say. And he had talked about community and schools and those kind of things, and always asked me, what are you doing here? What are you doing there? How are you having fun? Those kind of questions that Mark likes to ask. It just sank in a little bit. I was like, I'm really not doing anything. I could do better in this. So I started asking some other people and other leaders in the company what they were doing. And a lot of stuff, it sounded great, and I'm sure it worked wonderful for them. It just wasn't for me. We have a lot of kids, and I started thinking about kids and pouring into kids' lives and what that can look like from working at a roofing company and just having conversations with different folks. I'm a believer that things kind of happen for a reason. There's a higher power there that makes things happen. Really interesting story. A local trade school here that the high school kids get to go to. They build houses. They do some different kinds of work there on electrical platforms, those kind of things. There was a teacher there, and it was in the local county that I grew up in, that I was raised in, the school that my wife and I graduated from. It was involved, and the teacher there passed away. Suddenly, it was unfortunate. A friend of mine called me and was talking to me and said, "Hey, I'd like you to pray for me, and I'm thinking about taking on this job." I was like, wow, this is a guy that owned his own HVAC company and sold it, and he was going to go in and take over and teach. He ended up going down that road. We stayed in touch. We kept communicating. They were sharing 10 to 15 kids in the classes there, and they were sharing like one tool belt, one hammer, one tape measure. And just in having those conversations with him, I was able to go to Lowe's and partner up with Lowe's and have a conversation with Lowe's and tell them, listen, here's what I want to do. I want to buy a bunch of tool belts. I want to buy a bunch of tape measures and hammers, and I want to go and give them to a school. Will you help me out? If you don't take one penny off, I'm going to do it, but I'd love to have you help. And I'd love to be able to buy more with my money if you lower it. So we've been able to do that for over the last several years and just pour into the students there and be able to give in that way. They'll have their own tool belt now. They'll have their own tape measure. They'll have their own hammer. Don't have to borrow anything. I thought that was really cool to do that. That's how it kind of got started. And then the idea of the kind of the boot camps that we do and the trainings that we do. And then there's the mobile training. And I was like, why can't we take this and go? Like, why can't we do it? So we take our entire team, sales team, office manager here, myself, all the crews, we all go. We take our vans, we set up inside their school, and we put on a TPO class. Spend a few hours with the kids. We get them some donuts. We have conversations. We talk to them about trades in the future. I'm a big believer in, if you're doing what you're meant to do and you're meant to go to college, great. I also think that there is a trade out there for you if that's the role you want to go in. And I think you can build a good life and make a career out of it. I think I'm an example of that. Even though I did go to college, I could have done all this without doing that. Pour into those kids that, hey, there's a future here. Bring examples of our team that chose that future of trades and where they are now and what that looks like. So we get to talk to them. They get to learn how to do some welding with TPO. At the end of it, we judge who makes the best welds, and we give away some really cool prizes.
That's awesome. I love hearing that.
So we talk a lot in the industry about labor shortage, but sometimes it feels bigger than that. Oftentimes a perception problem. months and months ago, but we interviewed Reed Ribble, and he had said to us, we can't expect people to respect what we do until we respect what we do. And it kind of hit me a little bit. And I think he said that roofers are typically the most self-deprecating lot of them. Oh, I'm just a roofer. But what do you think, like knowing that, and I think that there's probably some truth to that, what do you think most people get wrong about the trades? And how do you start to change that with a 16-year-old sitting in front of you?
Sure. That's a great question. Thank you for asking that. It is a challenge, right? It's the challenge that we all face each day in this, not even only in roofing, but just in construction in general. It's getting through that barricade that's there. It's not even a roadblock. It's a real barricade that's in front of us that we've got to overcome. Recently, my wife and I went over we also sponsor a different school, and we work with them with their sports. We're right in the shadow of a school, and we want to pour into the community here as well in Bristol. And so we go into Bristol, we're able to communicate to the students there. We go in for 8 hours, and they bring different classes in front of us, and we get to communicate this, exactly what you're asking. And I'd put together a little slideshow of, here's what the average college debt is coming out of school. Here is how much you're going to get paid as an average salary. And here is if you start, I'd make it very realistic of what your average salary could be in the trades going through, and we're at 10 years down the road, what does that look like? And what might that look like at 20 years down the road? And we take different scenarios. I let them ask questions, and we bring in, they're going to be a doctor. They're going to be I let them pick, and we need those. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that's wonderful. But I want to show the students that maybe don't want that. Like me, they want to work with their hands. I did school, and I got out, and I was like, I don't want to sit behind the computer all day designing stuff. I want to be out and work with my hands and doing things. And then getting into management, how that works and what that looks like, transitioning from what you get to spend all that time in the field and you learn what you're doing, and you transition into a role, may be able to manage a team, how you can make that turn, and what that career looks like, and what that money can look like, and what your future can look like. I think it's just a huge uphill battle that has to be done through facts and education of what it looks like. And it's not perfect. It's not for everybody, but it is for some people. After those classes, at every single one that we've been a part of, there's been at least one student that came up and said, hey, we appreciate that. We appreciate getting to hear this. And that's meant the world to me, getting those students to be able to hear that feedback from them, that it meant something to them. And I think when you pour into them and you show that, it's going to pay off for us in the long run. They may not be a part of Baker Roofing, but we need this as an industry. You know, if we have people that are doing better HVAC work that we get a partner with, they could be our partners 10 years down the road. So I think we have to pour into these people that we want good people to work with, and we want to help train them, whatever their role may be in the future.
That's a great answer. And I think for most of us, we, as old as we are, the comment was, yeah, you go to college after high school. That's the thing to do. Or you join the workforce. And it wasn't really as much of a trade as it was you join the workforce. What did that mean? Any job? Like no real direction in life per se. And that might not be fair, but that was my experience. And so going to college was the thing to do. And there's been different revolutions in American history. And we're kind of in that phase right now where maybe we're in something that we could call the AI revolution. And AI is reshaping the industry, a lot of industries, not just the roofing industry, although it is. So I guess industries that used to feel rock solid, like a desk job, like you mentioned, or professional service, even some creative work, are now no longer quite as solid. And so my question is this: AI your way through a 30,000 square foot re-roof. You might use a robot to install that TPO and do the welding of the seams, but you're not going to use AI to do it. So when you're talking to these young people about their futures, how do you start to factor in some of the AI things and some of the roofing, doing it with your hands, is a way to somewhat proof the industry?
Great question, Matt. It's funny. I just had this exact conversation yesterday with the manufacturer's rep at lunch, and we're talking about that's the future, right? We're just going to ask, and it's going to spit out the information. I don't think that it's ever going to replace the hands-on experience that we can gain. So I think it has its place. I think you can use it. I think you can trust a little bit, but you got to do the verification on the backside of it. Hey, use it to get you part of the way there, or use it to check and see if what you're thinking is right. Set in my ways, but I'm starting to grow into it. I'm starting to see some things. I did some trainings last week with our Baker team on it. I'm like, oh, wow, this is really cool. So I think it has a place, right? I think it absolutely is going to help us be more efficient at our job, which is, well, I love efficiency. It's what helps me be able to do what I do and manage different things, is being able to find something that makes it more efficient. And I think that AI can do that. I think we just have to be able to show that the need for a hands-on experience is equally, if not more important, so that we can verify what we're being told is actually factual and not just something made up, because the information that's being put in can be incorrect, and it can be going and grabbing incorrect information and giving it to you. And you have to have the intelligence to know that the artificial intelligence is wrong.
So, Anthony, for a parent watching their child trying to figure out what's next, worried maybe about what the world might look like in 10 years. My daughter, she used to want to be a graphic designer, and that sounded legit 3 or 4 years ago, and now it's not. And it's probably not a field that's going to continue to grow, but probably contract with the advent of AI innovation and how that's shaking things up. In light of that, what would you want them to understand about a career in the trades?
Again, I'm going to go back to the people. It's almost my answer on everything here today, I guess. But there is such a bond you get to build with the people. It sounds cliche, I guess, that your work people become your family, but they truly do. Once you invest at such a high level with the people around you, that takes years to get there. And once you get through those years, then the people that surround you become like family. And I think it's important for the younger generation to not view it as, hey, this is just a job. Then being able to find a career that they can grow in, they can get better each day at, is important. And I think you get to do that in trades more so maybe than just sitting behind a desk in a cubicle where you don't get to talk to a lot of people, or you're just dealing with the computer screen. Maybe you could have some Teams meetings. Again, some of those things may be for some of those people, and that's okay. We're different, and that's what makes it great. But I think there's a lot to offer from a trades perspective, that we can go out, we can meet people, we can have interaction. I'm big on one-on-one selling, direct to the customer in their face, and having those personal interaction is important. I think that there's a lot of people that are going away from that, and a lot of companies that are going away from that. And trades is one of the biggest ways that you can develop that personal relationships again. I think the phones and those kind of things have hurt that personal relationships that we need to have just to function properly.
I think, Anthony, you hit on a chord too. We keep hearing you say it. Our industry, it requires people, and in some ways is insulated from a lot of what we may be seeing in other industries. It's really hard to probably sell, estimate, load a 30,000 square foot re-roof, as we mentioned before, as a team of one. It takes people, and it takes a good number of people to see that done successfully. I think that's probably true in most of the trades. It's going to continue to take people. And if you like working with your hands and you like working with people, it's a really, really good career path for you.
Absolutely. It's couldn't choose anything that I would rather be doing, to be honest with you, just because I get to be around people all the time. And I need people to keep me straight. So it's good. I've been able to surround myself with so many good people and get to see them live their lives, and just to be able to see people meet their own goals. It helps me want to keep doing what I'm doing, to see those goals being met by others.
Anthony, when you look 5 or 10 years out, what do you hope that this work adds up to? Not just for your team or for Baker, but for the towns themselves that you're investing in.
I feel like I'm saying the same thing over and over again, but it's truly just about the people and the communities that we live in, and them being better than where we left it. Just like the work that we do and the always good work slogan, we want to come in and leave whatever we find it's going to be better when we leave than when we got there. Whether we walk into a meeting, whether we walk into an issue on the roof, whether we walk into a community, whether I walk into my home and with my family, I want it to be better after I left than before I got there. Do I always do that? I do not. I fail at it often, but that's my goal. That's what I want to see. I want to see in 5 or 10 years down the road that we are leaving things better than we found them and that we have pushed the ball that much farther. We have better communities that we're surrounding ourselves in, and we have better company. And I think that with all that we're doing with the ESOP and those kind of things, our company's going that way. And I think we have the opportunity as employee owners to pour into our community and help our communities get there as well.
I love what you said too, Anthony. Kind of pre-answered this question a little bit too earlier, where you talked about maybe one of those high schoolers making the decision to go into HVAC and becoming a strong partner for us in 10 years. And so I think what would be really cool in 5 or 10 years down the road, that some of those kids that you spoke to, you're seeing out on the job site now, and they have good, stable careers where they're growing and doing meaningful work. And so seeing that kind of scale out from this time that you're spending in the classroom with these kids too, alongside what you described of the impact that your teams are having in the communities and the job sites that they're working on.
How amazing would it be that 10 years down the road, we get to see that kid come out and he's helping us on a job and he's like, hey, that's that crazy old man that I remember that came and talked to.
Well, I'm going to give that crazy old man one more chance to say something to a group of people. So for a younger person listening, maybe somebody 2 years out of high school, maybe someone's in a job that they don't like or they don't love, wondering if the trades might be for them. Anthony, what would you say to them? What's 1 or 2 comments that you would use to encourage them to look into it?
Wow, you all are full of some good questions. This is a lot of pressure here to come up with some answers that are you happy where you are? You said that in your question. If not, what would make you happy? And if you want to consider trades, let's sit and talk about it. Let's take some time. What are your questions? I think you have to dig into each person individually and find out what questions they have, what are their goals, where do they want to be, and how do we help them get there? We have to set realistic expectations. Oftentimes it's, I want to run the company in a year from now. That may not be realistic, but we can get there eventually. We got to work through the steps and educate them on how do we get from point A to point B all the way to Z. We can't get to Z if we don't go from A to B. I think that's critical, is the education process. Helping them get there is the second part of it. So we need to understand it. We need to educate them and then see how can we come alongside them. I think as leaders, we have to lead as servant leaders. We have to help people get there where they're helper.
I'll say this real quick. Might have been a great question, but it was an even better answer. And I'll also offer up that if anybody out there that is listening is interested in having a conversation with us at Baker Roofing, we're in the Southeast, Mid-Atlantic, from Pennsylvania to Florida, out to Tennessee and Alabama, and you want to talk about getting involved in the roofing industry, reach out to us on the website. We have an entire department that does recruiting and can place you in different places in our company, different positions, different states. We'd be happy to talk to you. And I'm sure we could even get Anthony on the phone if you want to talk to him directly.
Absolutely. I'd love to talk to anybody. We've got a lot of partners in all the markets as well. If they're interested in HVAC or any of the other things, plumbing, building houses, we've got connections, and I'd love to see people pour into the trades. I think it'd be amazing.
Well, Anthony, I think the work that you're doing, there's others at Baker that are doing similar work in promoting the trades. And I know that there's a lot of partners that are not part of Baker Roofing, but are doing similar, like really, really good work to promote that. This is a viable career. It's a great industry, the construction industry, to be a part of. And, I actually see fruit being born from concerted effort to promote roofing and the trades. And even in my own household, my son decided to go into electrical work. He decided that, college wasn't for him and he wanted to go do electrical work. And he's on that path now and he's loving it. He loves doing a lot of things that I have no idea what to do myself now. So I really appreciate that, Anthony. I appreciate your work here at Baker and your work in the communities. And we have one way that we typically wrap this up, and you kind of already answered it. So I'm not going to say the audiobook part. I'm going to talk about the music, and I want to know what's on heavy rotation for you for music in your car, in your office, at home. Who are you listening to right now?
Yeah, so I'll listen to this podcast. I can say it is the only podcast that I'll listen to, right? That is an honest answer too, as well, to say that it's the only podcast. I got to start finding more podcasts, I guess, at this point. But this is my number one. Yes, we grew up in a great music generation, didn't we? So I'm a big music fan and support music. And so right now I'd have to answer that with probably my favorite artist right now is Cody Johnson. Listen to Cody Johnson a lot. Probably the most repeated song that I ought to sit there and put on repeat and drive my kids crazy is by a band called the Red Clay Strays. It's called On My Knees. If you haven't listened to that, it's a pretty good one.
Oh, I have to listen to it. See Matt's right board. I guess I'll write it down too. Although I have a feeling, Anthony, I'm not much of a country music fan.
We're going to get you there. We're going to get you there.
It's about an effort that you might try, but I'm not sure you're going to get in there as fast as he might turn you on to something that's not country as well. So
I'll listen to it all. So I can go listen to whatever he's got, and then we can put some boots and a cowboy hat on and take him down to State Street, let him put one foot in Tennessee and one in Virginia, and listen to a little country music.
I know there are people that would pay good money to see that happen.
there are. If we were in the fundraising mode, we could do that. But Anthony, that's it for this episode of Under the Roof. Big thanks to you and for the conversation, for the hard work that you and your team is doing in your community every single day.
And if you know that, and I know that Matt already said this, but if somebody could use a different perspective on what a career in the trades might look like, share this episode with them. Or like Matt said, give us a call. Give Anthony a call. You can find his number on our website. Just go to Bristol and call the office and I want to speak to Anthony about roofing, and he will be there for the most part, I think, or he will get back to you. So that's how this conversation grows.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to follow the podcast so that you don't miss an episode.
And remember, we shall do good work at a profit if we can, at a loss if we must, but always good work. See you next time. That wraps up this episode of Under the Roof. Thanks for joining us and being part of the Baker Roofing family.
If you liked what you heard, share it with your crew. Hit the follow button and keep the conversation going wherever you work.
We're here to keep you informed, inspired, and included, because the more connected we are, the better we work together.
And as always, we'll leave you with this. We shall do good work, at a profit if we can, at a loss if we must, but always good work. See you next time.